I still don't understand why it says Globe Institute. Are we near the... What is the Globe Institute?
This might be a standard generic, like, autofill.
Heavens. All right, well, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Welcome and welcome back to this episode of Dixon Politics. I think this is episode 15. You've got me, Samantha.
And you've got me, Ian.
Because nobody else was around to record with me. Let's see. So Adriana was in Vegas, busy fawning over the Backstreet Boys and Chris Angel as her boyfriend looked on in horror. Aurora was on vacation in Budapest with her boyfriend. Steven was with his wife. Corbin had a friend in town, so Ian, you're my guy.
I just happened to be here. So
well, thank you.
Lucky me.
Yes. Lucky you, lucky us. I'm
exactly.
really excited because, all right, as a personal choice, Ian does not care to discuss politics. It's not something he's comfortable with. So this week we're just going to skip right over what's burning. And Ian, you have your segment, Game Over, coming out next week, Wednesday, March 6th, for the all-men, all-dude episode of Dixon Politics. What is the name of that episode?
Well, the working title for that episode is Dude.
I'm trying to give Ian a little bit more creative freedom, and I let him name the episode. I like it, though.
I like it.
But Ian, there is something that you and I need to address, and we'll do it very quickly. We need to let our listeners know that Hannah, who was one of the founding hosts of Dixon Politics, has decided to move on to some other projects. She's shifting her priorities around a little bit, so she will no longer be a part of Dixon Politics. But it's really important to us, and especially to me, that as one of the founding hosts of Dixon Politics, we love Hannah. We adore her. We wish her all the best. She will still be cheering us on from the sidelines, but she will not be on the show anymore. But we are very lucky because we've got Aurora and we've got Corbin, who are going to step up as regular hosts, and there's somebody else that we added to our hosting ranks. Would you like to make that announcement?
Who would that be?
You know who that is.
Who would that be?
Who is my best friend in the whole world, other than you, of course?
Who would be the second new one? Jeez. You're throwing me on the spot here.
I made an announcement.
I know.
Starts with a P.
Paige?
Yes!
Yes, I knew it was Paige, but it's P-A-G-E.
Yes.
Got it.
So Paige, you were first introduced to Paige on the very, very first episode of When I Knew. And we're so excited because not only have I brought her on to WISP as our Director of Client Success for all of our sponsors, but she is going to be a co-host on Dixon Politics. And I'm thrilled. So Ian, you have your segment, Game Over, all about video games, esports, virtual reality, all that good shit, coming out next Wednesday.
Correct.
So why don't you give us a little teaser about your agenda and what you guys are going to be discussing?
Sure. So just not to get too in-depth, don't want to give too much away, but initially on this first episode...
He wants to make you wait for it.
Yeah, this first initial episode is kind of... I'm super excited for it, but as far as agenda, what we'd like to do is just to give you some background into who I am, who the other two co-hosts are, what got us into video games, why do we still play it, pushing 30-plus years of age, and why do we still find ourselves looking into the esports community, video games community, AR, virtual reality, and all that good stuff. So
it's cool, though, because you have been watching this whole industry evolve.
Yes.
Over the last 30 years. How crazy.
It's been nuts. I've literally, you could tell anybody. I've been telling my brother, seriously, for about 4 to 5 years now, esports, Daniel, esports.
Yeah.
If you're not getting into it, you're sleeping on it. I'm telling you, and it's right on the brink of exploding if it hasn't already happened yet. So that's why this opportunity with Game Over is super exciting for me, and I really can't wait.
For sure. And we always like to keep our listeners sort of a little bit ahead of the game, so I'm excited for you to be giving them a peek inside of, what is esports?
Exactly.
Where can you watch esports? Where can you play? How can you get involved? I think it's going to be really cool. We're all about uniting people.
Great. By the way, great question, Sam, and that's what we want to strive for with this podcast, is people have these kind of questions, and we want to be able to answer them in a nice, succinct fashion,
right,
without getting too nerdy, too techie, too video gamey.
I think that you're going to get really nerdy anyway.
Yeah,
but
that goes hand in hand. But
it does. No, I'm really excited about it, though, because it's like you and I said. You've been doing analytics for us for about 2 months now, give or take, and every week you're coming to me and Adriana, and you're like, "You guys, it's men." it's men that are listening, and they're all between the ages of 25 and 45. We need to give the dudes what they want. And we were like, all right. And I'm really glad that we decided and that we sort of landed on sports and video games. I think it's perfect. So...
Sports, and just put an E in front of the other one, and there we go.
Sports and esports, yeah. So now you're coming over this Saturday to my house because we are doing what?
We are recording the first episode of Game Over. So so I'm looking forward to seeing that, and then meeting the entire New York team. Everybody who's based in New York City will be there. We'll be running around, filming, all that great stuff. So it should be a good time Saturday. Hopefully, fingers crossed, weather.
It's
nice.
supposed to snow. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's going to be really cute. But what we're going to do is Will, who's our creative director and also your co-host on Game Over, is coming into New York City. So it's going to be you, me, Adriana, Corben, Will, and Kitless, who does It's Bro Time. I don't know if John's going to be there. If they win their playoffs, he won't be there. So it's like...
It's a double-edged sword.
I know. We want him there because we love him, but we also don't want him there because we want him to win. Manhattanville, wishing Manhattanville all the best of luck in the playoffs. Because they're going to... I have a feeling they're going to kill it. But we're recording a video all about WISP and, who we are, how we know each other. We really want... you listen to us, right? But we want our listeners to be able to see us too and put names to faces and see the way that we interact with each other. Because it's like we said, I think in the last episode, we are actually friends in real life. We're not people that got put together by a big network that said, hi, this is the person you're working with. IRL, Ian, you and I probably spend the most... Stop biting your nails, dude.
Sorry. As you can tell.
Ian and I are like an old married couple. We spend... all of our waking hours together because we work together for a software company, and then we work together with this. Just can't get enough of each other, right, E?
I guess so.
Well, I'm really looking forward to your segment next week. Thank you for doing this intro with me. All right. Here it is. The world premiere of, do you want to say it?
I think you're hitting it right now. Go for
the world premiere of It's Bro Time. Stay tuned, everyone.
Coming to you live from New York City on a beautiful evening, we are caffeinated, we are opinionated, and we are never antiquated. This is Mike, joined next to me, sitting here by my lovely, beautiful co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, John DeCastro.
What's up, Mike? How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man. Never had a bad day in my life. How about yourself?
I've had a few. Super Bowl? That's not...
Got it.
Still not over it.
Got it. Well, unfortunately, John here next to me is a Rams fan. I got to have my moment in the sun last year as a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
No way. You're an Eagles fan?
Diehard. Grew up outside the city of Philadelphia.
Bitch.
And if you couldn't tell,
God.
this is basically a blind date where we just got paired together off of the street, and now here we are.
I would like to say, and I'm going to shut up. This is everyone's dream that Samantha finally shuts up on the podcast, but...
Hey, come on, you're doing good.
Oh, thanks, babe. All right, I met both of you ding-dongs on Bumble.
Nice.
Dated, there was a fist pump that just happened. Dated you, didn't work out. Never dated you. So Mike came into my office, what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Around there, sure.
Because we were having a chat, I'm like, dude, I need to fucking show you something. So we started talking about, working in sales in New York City, it's a high pressure, whatever. And then I said, Mike, what do you talk to your friends about? Because Mike you're so talented. I just think that you're so articulate, and I absolutely am so tickled by you. Stop laughing. I think you're great.
That intro was off the dome, by the way. That was, completely
totally
impressive.
That's just Mike. That's what you get when you put Mike in a room. And so I'm like, it was a leading question, Mike. I'll admit. I said, what do you talk to your friends about? I don't know, sports. I'm like, bingo. So I pitched this to you first. You were like, okay.
And the rest was history.
And then I had an Endgame interview with you, John, which was a fucking shit show.
Oh, listen, it's not my fault that I work in a loud environment, hey?
It was a shit show, but I'm like, hey, you know what? Because you've got a great voice. And I know that you've done podcasts before.
Yeah.
And that you've wanted to do, you said it last week, that you've really been wanting to do this with your friends for a while. And I thought, oh my God, Mike and John, this is going to be fucking dynamite. So I basically was just like, Mike, I've hired someone to do this with you. And he's like, okay. I'm like, John, you're going to do this with Mike. And you were like...
Sure. The best part
What do we
about
got
it
to
was that I think came on the story this morning was the first conversation we had on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
In the group chat with the favorite dinosaur thing. That's where I knew this was going to be completely just the symmetry in this, and then the flow and how we're going to do this was a perfect match.
Entirely, and
You
we
guys
promise.
are perfect together.
Oh, go on.
We're
Tell us
live
more.
right now, by the way.
Interracial
Perfect.
couple. It's fine.
Wedding invites to follow soon.
But, all right, well, give us your background, because we know
Yeah.
that you're a hockey coach.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
Mike, tell us your background.
I'm working on the sales side of things here in New York City. Former baseball player, never made it anything professional or anything like that, but we got some high school, we got some collegiate play, and
There you go.
here we are now. Still a guy who, my TV rarely leaves ESPN unless it's for NFL Network or NBA TV.
Sixers
You live
fan?
it, you breathe it. No, actually,
Wow.
Knicks fan. So
Wow.
yeah, we'll do an
Okay.
entire
This is
episode
interesting.
about our fandom.
Okay. Very
Growing
cool.
up outside Philadelphia, I have a nice New York Philadelphia split. So we got
Where'd
the
you grow
Eagles,
up?
we got the Flyers. Egg Harbor Township,
Okay.
small little town near Atlantic City, New Jersey.
It's pretty equidistant if you think about it.
It sure
Yeah,
is. So.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, we promise to bring you opinions, we promise to bring you facts, we promise to bring you fun, and we promise to bring you some jocularity along the way to let you know what's going on in the world of sports, what you can talk to your friends about, what you're missing out on, and what we can do going forward. And getting into it just a little bit, hitting you off with one of the most drama-filled teams and stories right now across the National Football League. Antonio Brown, AB 84,
Wait a minute. Wait.
Mr. Big Chest.
Wasn't he on Dancing with the Stars?
He was.
He
He
was.
also,
danced with Sharna.
and
Yeah.
he also.
Wait, you guys, we have something in common. I know something that you know.
And we're about to get a little bit more. He was also on The Masked Singer as well. He was the
Oh,
first
He
yes,
was.
you're right, he
eliminated.
was.
He was,
He
yeah.
and Tommy Chong. Tommy Chong was on Dancing with the Stars. He danced with Peanut.
Yes.
Can we also talk about Dancing with the Stars in his spare time?
Maybe eventually.
Yay!
We'll get there.
Maybe,
Alright,
yeah, we'll see what
Technically,
happens
it's a
next
sport.
week. Yeah, you know.
Love from my dancers. It is 100% a sport. So, to bring everybody up to speed, Antonio Brown over Twitter broke up with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Still having time on his contract. I believe he has another 2 years left.
Yeah.
But decided that it was time for him to move on and look for greener pastures to find the team of his dreams that's going to help take him to the Super Bowl. Earlier on, going off of last season, there was a running back by the name of Le'Veon Bell
Oh, boy.
who had nothing but issues with this team as well.
What's
This-
a running back?
A running back is a guy that stands behind the quarterback, gets the ball handed off to him, and runs.
Runs up the
That's
field.
it. really
The
is.
back that runs. The running
That's
back.
basically what it means. The back that runs. Yep.
Wait, can I be a running back? I'm
You're,
little.
you need to be a little bit
Little-
taller.
little shifty.
Well, what can I be?
You know they need a water person.
Ah!
Actually, you look like you could be a kicker. I would trust you to be a punter.
Okay.
I could
I'll
see you
take
being
it.
a
Punters are
punter.
people too.
Punters are people too.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Shout out Johnny Hecker.
So Le'Veon Bell, who played for the Steelers as well, decided to forego an entire year's salary to sit out and try his chances at free agency to get paid more
It's
by
the
an entire
equivalent of, I feel like, well, the whole Antonio Brown situation with him being a wide receiver, established in the league, you know, basically breaking up over Twitter is pretty much the epitome of dating now, if you really think about it, in like a really low-key, like swipe left, no thank you kind of way. So in a sense, it's pretty interesting where you're seeing a tide within the NFL where athletes are taking more autonomy from their employers, where they're gaining their rights to pick and choose where they want to play. They felt like they've earned the workplace equity, I guess you could say.
Sure.
Because I honestly, I'll be very frank. I don't work in the corporate culture. I have zero background in it. Coming from athletics and staying with that for the last 8 years, for as long as I can remember. It's interesting seeing this dynamic. We talked about it earlier of how this kind of relates to a real world situation.
Yeah, and this is a whole new world order where professional athletes are going to owners, these billion-dollar owners, and dictating where they want to play for the future. It's the equivalent of walking in your boss's office and saying, hey, I'm sick of working in New York City. I know we have an office in California. Oh, by the way, I know the competitor that has the office in Chicago. I've always wanted to live in Chicago. I think I'm gonna go see if I can move myself over that way. It's entirely different.
Yeah.
It's not the way that it used to be. Sports used to be you get picked up by one team, you stay there for as long as they're willing to pay you, for as much as they're willing to pay you, and basically you take your pat on the head, you shut up,
Yeah.
and you go out and do your job.
That all changed, 94 in the NFL, 95, free agency, where basically a rule was put in place between the players' union and the league saying that after a certain amount of term, when the contract has run its course, a player can pretty much pick and choose their destination. So, but ever since that's only been around 20 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but ever since that happened, you're seeing it across all four major sports, where athletes now are taking, they're taking pretty much their way, or trying to have their way with picking where they want to go. And sidebar, kind of what happened in the NBA how many years ago with LeBron?
Absolutely.
Where they turned into a whole spectacle.
Yep.
Right?
So LeBron James deciding he was taking his talents to South Beach was what really set this in motion to create what everyone refers to as super teams. These teams that have mega stars, usually 3 to 4 mega stars, and then even supporting cast around them that are fantastic too. They take less money to play in a team in an area that they know they're going to compete for a championship each and every year. That's the end game for all these guys, is to make your money on endorsements and also win championships.
When you look, when you look at sports, I think in bigger cities, you look at, going off of what you're saying, the salary part's a very, very small piece of the pie.
Absolutely.
You look at guys like, athletes that everybody knows, transcendent athletes, LeBron James,
Tom Brady.
Exactly. They're making the majority of their money, their yearly salary, in endorsements. A lot of it has to do with where they are, and with LeBron going to Los Angeles, Brady being, in New England, outside of Boston, just north of New York, his wife being a supermodel.
Yeah.
There's so many platforms for these athletes now to make money, because you don't really need all these different filters that you did. Before, it was really hard it wasn't really hard. It wasn't
as lucrative.
Exactly.
Allow me to jump in.
Yeah, there you go. It wasn't as lucrative, these endorsements. These have been going on for almost 100 years with baseball, right? But here we are in a realm now where athletes are now understanding the value of branding, understanding the value of personal brand, what that means to the greater public, what image looks like, and they're correlating themselves with a new market now, especially with the advent of social media, which I think has helped this culture shift. Because every league is different. The NBA is different from the NFL, not just by sport, but by how the players change their teams, the movement.
Sure.
I think in hockey, you don't really get a lot of free agents moving, from team to team. Basketball, you do. NFL, it's mostly via trade, but obviously there's some of it has to do with guaranteed money and things like that.
Yeah.
And then baseball is definitely a free agent riddled sport. It's athletes understanding that their image creates its own business within itself, and I think a lot of it has to go through with. I'm sure our listeners know, like, Gary Vaynerchuk and these guys who understand the importance of self and entrepreneurship and that kind of brand building, which is bringing us to this, topic with AD.
Yeah, and I think too, I challenge all of our listeners when the NBA draft happens at the end of June, check Twitter, because the first thing, the draft is going to be on June the 20th. That's a Thursday night. Check it Friday morning, because the first thing you're going to see is the amount of money that Nike, Adidas, Puma are going to pay to have these guys, Under Armour as well with Steph Curry, to have these guys represent their shoe brand. It's going to be crazy amount of dollars, and even somebody like Puma, an irrelevant brand, is going to be paying millions of dollars to have these guys represent them still.
It wasn't that long ago where Under Armour became more of it was pretty much a guy-centered company. And then all of a sudden Steph Curry joins the fold after Nike blundered that whole presentation. And then 2 or 3 years, we're on the Curry 3? What edition?
I think we are. Yeah, right.
So 3 years later.
The Curry 3, looking less like a shoe your dad has on.
3 years later from that deal, you're seeing female basketball players asking why isn't there a Curry shoe made for young women athletes, right? So these things do matter because you're seeing this trend of I remember the biggest thing after the draft last year was Puma's going to sign who, Trae Young's going to sign with Adidas or Nike. Even with what's his name, Antetokounmpo, right?
Giannis.
Is Giannis going to sign with Adidas or Nike? And Adidas sending over all that swag in the back of a U-Haul truck.
Yeah.
And he signs with Nike, So these things definitely they have a lot of weight, and not just sports in general, but sports is commerce, sports is business, and showing that these athletes are their own brands and they have this platform now that they can broadcast to the millions upon millions of people who are willing to consume this product.
It's nowadays that they can take your brand to the next level associating with this, which brings us back to AB and Antonio Brown and him wanting to go to a market and a team that's going to afford him the best opportunity. His whole goal is that next contract is probably going to be his last. This is a guy who he wants to settle down in a city, he wants to settle down with a winner, and he wants to get paid.
Yeah.
I can't say that I blame him. And even somebody like Le'Veon Bell, who decided it was a better decision for him to sit out an entire season of football than play at an exorbitant amount of money in order to get this paycheck right here.
Yeah.
This is where we're going.
When you look at Le'Veon's case, when you bet on yourself and you go all in on yourself, the theory is you're not going to lose, right?
Sure.
Now let's explain why. You mentioned AB, it's his last contract, Antonio Brown. You're talking about a pro athlete, an elite athlete, north of 30, in a sport where you're not seeing many guys. I know Tom Brady's 40 or whatever, but that's one person.
Sure.
You're in a sport where at the wide receiver position, with all the torque you're putting on your body, all the impact you're taking week in and week out, once you hit north of 30, your career shoots down pretty fast.
Absolutely.
And look at guys like, when I was, guys that were playing in the NFL now that when I was in college they were rock stars. Tim Crabtree, right? Like he hits 31 and you don't hear from him ever again, So it's very rare to have a guy play past 31, 32 at an elite level. So I understand what he's trying to do. I respect it. I think
absolutely.
He's made no secret that San Francisco is one of the destinations he's looking at. Big city, new stadium,
Young team, young quarterback, young coach.
Yeah.
You want that culture that's going to be there, and it's gonna aid to you winning over and over and over again. So, for all those that are interested in that, coming up on Friday the 1st at 10:30 on HBO, LeBron James has a TV show called The Barbershop. Antonio Brown is going to be on there. Will he talk about this? Was it recorded in January, way before the season started? We are going to find out together at 10:30.
First public appearance, right?
Since all this happened.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow him on Twitter to keep up with all the drama. You'll enjoy it. Any early predictions where he ends up going and playing? San Francisco.
As tough as it is to watch an elite receiver go into the division where my favorite team plays, I also think the NFL is missing some pretty good rivalry, and there was a time where San Francisco, LA was a must-see, game at 4 o'clock on a Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern for those who are, New Yorkers. But I think it's going to be San Francisco. It's just a matter of making the dollars and cents work and whatever guaranteed numbers, because the way it works in the NFL, if you see a contract with 7 years, $42 million, odds are they're not going to see all that $42 million.
Sure.
That's not fully guaranteed.
No.
So if it's the guaranteed money has to make sense for Antonio, and hope. I honestly, personally believe it's going to be San Francisco. You?
We'll see. I'm going to withhold and keep my fandom to myself and keep praying that it's going to be the city of brotherly love. Shout out to any Philly listeners. Sticking with football and something else that is a crazy thing that happened.
And this came out yesterday, right?
This came out earlier today. Landon Collins. Bad radio for everyone listening, as this is not today. This was last week.
Or last week. This came out last week, right?
This came out last week. It really did. I can't even believe it. Landon Collins, a player for the New York Football Giants, came to their training facility today, cleaned out his locker, said goodbye to his coaches, and thanked everyone there at the facility. Entirely crazy that he's still on the Giants. He's still on the team. He's still employed and getting paid.
Isn't he the leader of part of their defense too? Right? Captain of the team, co-captain.
He's one of the faces of the franchise across the board. And this happens. How does that happen? That you're going to allow the face of your team, one of the faces of your team, to come in and basically say, hey, this was fun. I appreciate everything. See you guys.
I'm moving out. Peace.
And I think part of it is there's a lot of, this is the time of year, this off season, it's where all your coaches, it's where all your players, they move around to different franchises, different cities. And one of the coaches that Landon was very close to on the Giants is a fellow by the name of Lou Anarumo. So Lou is now going to be the defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. There's speculation that they're going to try to make a move, and he's going to go out there with Lou and play in Cincinnati. I just, at some level, this is a team that's getting dictated by the player, that you're going to show up and just unpack your stuff. Like, could you imagine going into your office tomorrow, packing up your stuff and being like, hey, I'm going to go work at this other college up the road. See ya. Like, that doesn't happen in real life.
A lot of it has to do with the dissatisfaction that I believe he will be franchise tagged by the Giants, which basically means, for 1 year they basically own his rights, and they're going to pay him the average of what the highest the average of what the top 10 players at his position get paid. Now, listen, it's decent money, but
it's great money. In some levels, it's millions and millions of dollars.
Yes, in every level, it's millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're a punter, but who franchise tags a punter? Regardless, hi punter. Regardless,
didn't the Raiders?
Wait.
Didn't the Raiders do that? I feel like one team franchise tagged. I have to go back. Well, I'll do my research and we'll come back the next time
we're gonna come up with a fun segment.
Compliment and then tell me I'm not gonna get paid?
Well, you're not gonna get franchise tagged. You'll get paid in your own right.
You'll get paid, but you won't get paid the top 10 average of your position.
Well, what if I want the top 10 average of my position?
Too late.
What do I need to do?
Be better than the top 9 other people
Okay,
in
how
your
can I be
position.
better then?
Start kicking harder.
We talk about practice.
Okay, can you give me a tip? Alright, let me ask you something. Here's my history with sports. When I was little, I was a weirdo. I still am. And my mom was like, oh, let's sign Sam up for soccer. I was the worst. I literally would stand in the goal. I was like defense, and I would just do somersaults and braid the girl's hair. Then, in 6th grade, I played basketball for about 2 weeks. I was actually really good. I won the shoot-off.
And then what happened?
And then I just couldn't do it. But I have a funny story, which I
can't run and dribble at the same time, so.
Oh, I can do that.
I can't.
I had one crowning moment of glory when I played basketball. The other team, I don't know, they were all around me, and I just went, whoop, and I threw the ball from behind, and I made it in, and I won the game. That was that's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. But, what?
In sports, it's the coolest thing to happen to you, or in life in general?
You know what? You're such an asshole. No, listen. All right. So one time when I was about 23, we talked about this on When I Knew I Had Cancer, which is our other podcast called When I Knew. This particular one was with my friend Nicole, who unfortunately had cancer. She's okay now. The reason I met her is because I met this really hot guy at my gym, and I thought he was really cute, so we went out on a date. I got really drunk and wanted to impress him, so I told him that I played soccer in college, which, as I just confessed to you, when I played soccer, I was 5.
Holy Christ, that's...
Well, and as you were saying, you were braiding hair, you were dancing on the field. It's the equivalent of being a New York Met at some level.
Oh my God! All right. So anyway, look, the point is, I got caught, right? So Valentine's Day rolls around. This kid goes, hey, look, I know that we had these dinner plans. I was going to go play soccer. I'm on a regional league. We actually can't play tonight because one of the girls dropped out. Is there any chance that you have your gear and you'd want to play with us?
No, fake an injury.
And I'm like, oh, yes, my gear.
I
Yes,
just tore my ACL. Can't do it.
Right.
I donated it to charity. I don't have it
Can't
anymore.
do it.
And he's like, oh, that's cool. I'm sure that you could borrow some of my friends.
Why would you go with equipment? You never go with equipment.
Well, we get there, and Nicole, who's one of my now best friends, was like, hey, so, you can borrow my guards, do you have sneakers? And I'm like, oh, yes, I have sneakers, don't be silly. And so she's like, all right. So I'm going to have you play, just be like a loose sweeper. And I'm like, oh yeah, a loose sweeper. You
Get
got
the broom
it.
out. Like,
Meanwhile,
I don't even know her.
Meanwhile, I am trying to Google loose sweeper and figure out how to put on shin guards. I have no cell phone service.
Oh
the
my
only
God.
sport I've ever
man.
played at this point is 2 weeks of basketball in 6th grade. So I'm like crab walking all over the field, and Nicole's like, wow, Larry, what's wrong with your girlfriend? I thought you said she played in college. He broke up with me. So let me ask you something.
Yeah, sure.
If I wanted to go hang out with you guys and like play football, and I wanted to be the kicker, whatever you call it,
Punter.
the punter.
Punter.
Yeah.
How do I kick to make sure it goes really far? Do I keep the foot straight? What do I do?
We're gonna actually we'll go for kickers now, and your homework assignment is to go
This
watch.
would make a good online
It would.
A good
Well, we have
content.
our
Your homework
directors
assignment-
coming
Henry
out.
homework
Crimes of
assignment
football
is-
downfield.
is to go watch Ace Ventura and tell me how the race is supposed to be
No,
high
I've
for the ball.
seen that.
Well, then you know laces out, and you have to kick it with the laces out.
Yeah.
You know that.
Okay.
You're also talking to a hockey player and a baseball player who couldn't tell you a damn thing about the
Okay,
It's
well,
a lot of
fine.
how flexible are you? I mean that in the cleanest sense of the nature. Okay, all right, perfect. No,
For
when
those of you
it's-
wondering, I just put my leg up on the
it's
couch.
it's
It was
laces
quite
out, but
catching.
you have to hit on the right part of the foot. Like you have to make sure that you get a good up, basically like a rocket.
Right. So
kick.
like, do I kick with my toe or like tops of my?
So okay, I can divulge a bit into this.
Okay. All right.
It depends on where you
I'm
want.
standing up now, ladies and
It
gentlemen.
depends on where you want to place this.
Okay.
Obviously, if you want to kick to the right, you hit on the right outer half of your foot. You want to kick to the left, you hit on the instep of your foot. So it's all directional based, right?
Okay.
So it just really depends on the strategy behind it. Do you want to
Okay.
pin the guys back down the field in a place where they have to go the full 100 yards to get another touchdown? So there is some science
All
behind
right.
it.
So basically, I should show up and I should just use the side of my foot and then kick in the direction that I wanted to go.
I'm still gonna say what you should have done, and what you should do is, this old knee injury of mine, I just
Yeah, because when you say knee or hip, it's over. That's
right.
it.
Right.
I lay off of
Entirely
that.
I know for next time. So men in the future that date me, please don't ask me to play sports with you because the answer is no. If you want me to tap dance for you, that I can do. What a proposition.
Just let everyone know that you've retired from the game.
Okay.
You're- And to go back to a big story from last week and something that we'll kind of toss out as like a concession stand and treasure trove of other great topics for you to talk about.
Okay.
One of the greatest UFC fighters that has ever lived, a man by the name of George St. Pierre, has retired from the sport and will no longer be stepping in to fight. This is a guy who has had a storied career.
Yeah.
And if you get a chance, go listen to some of the stories. He was bullied as a kid. He ended up getting into jiu-jitsu, I believe it was jiu-jitsu, to help combat this.
Yeah.
So I encourage you, go out of your way to find some stories. It is worth every moment of your time to read and hear some of the things about one of the events that happened with him and a bully that was tossing him around as a small child. It's a very sad thing, and it's something that he, besides Conor McGregor, was one of the biggest faces of
if
UFC.
not the face for a long time. I mean, we're talking. This goes back to days when I would.
What a fight. Conor McGregor and what's his nuts? Oh my God. What
one?
was that guy?
Floyd Mayweather?
No. Yes.
That
was
I
not-
went to a bar.
Oh boy.
Wait, what? Wait,
What?
you watched? You thought it was entertaining, that fight?
Yeah.
No, I didn't think it was entertaining.
Oh, no.
That's why I
got
said what a fight.
I was gonna say because we were talking about this earlier. I have a funny, a crazy story. So, my 22nd birthday, I don't remember what year this
So
was.
yesterday.
So 2.5 weeks ago, when I joined this.
He's young, folks.
So over almost 10 years ago, friends of mine went to Vegas to watch the Ricky Hatton and Pacquiao fight. We dropped all this money, and we thought this fight's going to go the distance. We invested in a great product. I'm a Pacquiao fan. For those who don't know, I am Filipino American, so big surprise there. Anyway, we go in there thinking it's going to be a great fight. We put a couple of G's down, saved all this money from work. Fight lasts 2 rounds.
Yep.
We were in and out of the building quicker than I barely got to my seat, and I just saw him throw him into the canvas, basically.
And a damn shame, too, because if you want another fun Google any of Ricky Hatton's fans and the chants that they do.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
He's a British gentleman who it is absolutely wild what his fans do, some of the chants. And even more fun is hearing his training regimens. The man would bulk up on Filet-O-Fish sandwiches and all that before a fight. It's just insane, and he was one of my favorite boxers of all time, too, just because he was an absolute piece of garbage.
He's a beauty of a man, though.
Indeed.
Just absolute gem.
That's a unit.
Oh, my God. And he hit the canvas so hard. I can hear it. Like, when I close my eyes and think back to that, I can hear it to this day. And it was loud. It was loud in that arena that night. So, yeah, it's my little boxing story. The one time I went to go watch a boxing fight live, my buddies and I decided to go down there, and
and you got the short straw and
we
had
did,
to leave
literally.
early. Hitting on some other topics before we get out of here today, it is spring training, and baseball players across the nation have reported to Florida or Arizona to get ready for this upcoming season. One of the biggest stories to come out of spring training so far, Manny Machado, a all-star and amazing baseball player, has signed a 10-year, $300 million contract with the San Diego Padres.
Imagine getting paid $30 million a year to live in California.
It's a great life. My question that I'm going to toss out is signing someone for 10 years and basically agreeing to say, hey, for 10 years, I don't want anything bad to happen to you. It's not like you're playing a sport where you could get injured and your career could be done tomorrow.
Okay.
Is that a good investment to spend $300 million for that length of time?
All right. Full disclosure, I am a Red Sox fan. Don't ask me how that happened.
We won't hold it against him.
We've been known to do this for a while, but we've known to do this for players who are above the age of 30, who'll be 42 by the time the deals are out. I think it's the first time since A-Rod probably, right, where a player in his prime signs a 10-year deal. Is it worth the investment? And if you're looking at what San Diego is doing, that they're looking to rebrand their franchise. You know, it's been almost 21 years since they were in the World Series.
Yep. Never won one.
Never won one. It's been, almost 2 decades. The face of their franchise was Tony Gwynn, rest in peace.
R.I.P. in peace.
And he was probably the only real legitimate player that was a lifetime, Padre. So they signed an all-star first baseman in Eric Hosmer last year. And they have the best, the best young players in baseball under the age of, I believe, 24, right?
Yeah, you got Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of young prospects.
Whose dad was a long-time baseball player.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of young prospects, but at the same time, if I'm going to rebrand myself, it's not signing a 26-year-old for 10 years. It's going out and it's getting a bunch of guys who can win. A team, the Oakland Athletics, went out and did that. That they signed guys who statistically were going to help them win, and that's what they ended up doing.
Side note.
Moneyball.
Moneyball. Great movie to watch. Super informative. It really it shows you how baseball has transformed from looking at just star players, but looking at basically finding players, under the rug that you could just, players that you don't know about that can perform at a high level for your team.
Yeah. And getting out of here, my last little bit that I wanted to bring up. As many of you have seen, Thor himself, Mr. Hemsworth, is going to be playing Hulk Hogan in an upcoming biopicture. A very famous feud and wrestler, and just full disclosure, I am a gigantic wrestling fan. I will always be my man. I will always be that one to take us to that level and let you know what's going on in between the ropes and in the squared circle. Not just in life, but on that WWE TV as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love Hulk Hogan.
So, as that was announced, one of his most famous feuds was with an Iranian Olympian by the name of the Iron Sheik. This man was a world champion, very, very famous, and a great Twitter follow for everyone.
One of the best.
Amazing.
For sure.
He will humble you and he will break you. Now, the Sheik came out today and said that he wants to play himself in the Hulk Hogan movie. If anyone else were to play him, it would make the movie worse than The Notebook. It was an exact quote from the man.
I love The Notebook.
And who doesn't love The Notebook? But at the same time, Sheiky Baby himself said it. He's got to play himself going forward. We'll see how that turns out, but I personally would love to see the Iron Sheik put Thor into the camel clutch.
Oh my God.
Can you? Oh, man, how old is he now?
The Sheik?
Yeah.
Almost 70. That man's
God,
got
they have to reverse, digitize him, right? So it's like.
They'd have to.
I mean,
can you imagine them re-choreographing? Was it? Oh my God, what was that? Oh my God, I'm having a massive brain fart.
For those playing at home, he's 75 years old.
Oh my
the Iron Sheiks.
God.
So, and I promise, he can still move around. He can still fly around the ring. He can't. He couldn't even get over the top.
Can't even get over the middle.
So they, at WrestleMania 17, which was many years ago,
that was it.
They did something with a battle royal there, and the Sheik won because he couldn't fall over the top rope. So they knew that he was going to win it. This is a guy that now wants to be in a major motion picture, play himself, and get knocked around by Chris Hemsworth. It's not going to happen, but in my heart, I want it to happen.
You know what? I hope so. I certainly do hope so. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming weeks to see if they actually go through with this. So,
it will.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to telling you all about the greatness that is WrestleMania coming to the New York City area at the beginning of April.
So you guys, congratulations, you've just completed your very first recording of your segment,
Yep.
Bro Time. How do you think you did?
You know, it's a team effort. It was really rough terrain out there. I think we persevered through it, though.
Yeah.
Felt good. The team played great, and that's what it's all about.
How about your
it's
coach?
just doing it for the team.
It's all about how you start and not how you start, how you finish, eh?
Sure,
so,
of course.
we had a really good opportunity here to do something totally different, and I think we had a game plan, executed it well. We had someone here to help steer the ship in the right direction.
Of course.
But that's your standard hockey coach answer, I guess. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted to hit you as much as possible with every cliche that
Just get pucks in deep, get all four lines going.
I want to thank God, and I want to thank the devil as well, because without the devil, God would be just
like
bored
Putty
and
from Seinfeld.
Right, exactly. It was 90s night.
It was.
Oh my God. Well, thank you both for your willingness to do this, and thank you for coming prepared. It's interesting because we write agendas for Dixon Politics as well. We usually try to come up with an outline, and when we first brought on Mike for Microscope, didn't really know what to expect, but he writes out agendas as well, and I'm very impressed. So now we're going to have to see, because this is premiere next week, but then on Wednesday, March 6th, Dixon Politics has a full-on guys takeover. There will not be one woman on that show, so that is your chance to shine, and it's Will, Steven, and Ian's chance to shine. I'm interested to see, because I've been asking them, because they've got their group chat, just like we have ours. I'm like, hello, is anyone going to write an agenda? And they're just talking about their favorite games, their favorite equipment, and I'm like, hello.
I think we're setting the tone here.
I mean,
anyone going to write an agenda?
I'm all about setting the bar, then raising the bar, and jumping over that bar, so you can
I'm all about getting kicked out of bars.
Now,
so
let me ask you.
Even better.
Would you guys be interested in ever doing a crossover? Would you guys ever want to talk about video games?
Entirely.
Like
Of course,
Oh,
yeah.
no!
Allow me to tell
God.
allow me to tell you that we will do nothing but talk about the greatness that was NHL 98.
Oh my, NHL 94 for me.
Okay,
94
all right.
for me.
All right. Regardless, don't worry. We'll take care of it.
I want to make Richie's head bleed.
We'll take care of it. The guy version for all those listeners.
Dicks
Don't
are
worry.
taking over Dicks
Don't
and
worry.
Politics.
Dixon Politics, the Sausage Fest edition will be
The sausage fest, I like that.
Well, you know what I'm really excited about? So we have this company-wide gathering.
In all honesty, do I hope that I'm there for the outing? Yeah, but selfishly, no, because
you want to win.
Yeah, we're in line for we're pretty deep in our conference playoffs, and hopefully we're competing for national title.
Well, there will be other videos, I'm sure.
Yeah,
there will.
There's
and at the
going to be
same
more
time,
content. But what I'm excited about is the fact that you, Mike, and Will, and Ian and Steven, because he's going to dial in over Skype, are all going to be together on the 2nd. And you guys are going to have to do the intro just the way the girls do. I'm really excited for that.
I'm going to start practicing. I'll start my PA reads and everything like that. Don't worry.
Perfect.
We'll be good to go.
Perfect. So there's going to be an all-Dicks episode of Dixon Politics on Wednesday, March 6th. I almost said March 3rd. March 6th. You guys, I think you did a fantastic job. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad that you two vibe well together. I'm so glad that I met you guys on Bumble. That's fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
We're sitting in this room right now, but I met you guys on Bumble, and you guys were put together by me. And look at
Bad Radio Sam has a cooler that she's now going to dump over our heads to celebrate the victory.
Yep.
I do.
Have right
Filled
here.
with Gatorade.
Oh boy.
All right, guys. Well, do you want to do the sign-off for Dicks and Politics? Do you know how to do that? You say your names, and you say, you've just listened to Dicks and Politics. Are you ready? Take it away!
I'm John.
I'm Mike, and you just listened to Dicks
And Politics.
Thank you for listening to Dicks and Politics.
Digestible and unfiltered content about men, money, and moments.
New episodes every Wednesday.
Don't forget to subscribe.